The European Brain Council will be holding two Brain Innovation Days in October this year. But what are they? What do they aim to achieve? And who are they for? Well, joining us to tell us more, I'm delighted to welcome Frederic Destrebec, the Executive Director of the EBC. Fred, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, Sam. Thank you.
So I was going to say, the exciting project coming up. What's the background to the Brain Innovation Days?
Well, first, I need to say that EBC stands for the promotion of brain research, brain innovation, and brain health in Europe. So, obviously, when we mention brain disorders, brain health, we need to consider what these represent to the European society. EBC released studies in order to really try and demonstrate the societal impact of brain conditions. But the issue that we faced at a certain stage was maybe that we don't talk enough about the positive outcomes that research is actually delivering. And the Brain Innovation Days came about in order to offer a platform for the community to meet, but also for the community to showcase the outcome of research, but also to celebrate some success stories. And we really hope that by doing so, we can attract the attention of policymakers and equally get their support in, let's say, providing frameworks, regulations that encourage innovation and the emergence of innovation on the European continent.
Can you give us maybe a little bit of a taster for how the days function, really? What happens? What will be happening at this year's event as well? Any particular highlights?
Yeah, the particular highlights would really revolve around different formats that we created and generated, really to maximize the potential for people really to meet with colleagues, particularly as we will be attracting a community made up of EBC member organizations. So that means patient groups, scientific and professional societies, the private sector, but not only. We also aim to invite with us startups, innovators, but also investors, VCs, and also foundations or philanthropists, all having a stake in seeing this innovation emerging. So there will be time dedicated to this networking and matchmaking, but also time where very concrete innovations can be showcased and shared with the audience, and also panel discussions with policymakers, with lead scientists, or I would say C levels within companies. Investors also will be very interesting to hear from. And last but not least, another format that we created on our first edition last year will be Brain Talks. So that means very, let's say, compelling presentations of sometimes, I should say, conflicting issues or challenging areas that we would like experts to address and talk about.
I'm sure it was quite challenging to launch a new event with the pandemic going on. But what kind of feedback did you have from the previous event from last year?
Well, yeah, actually, the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. It was really heartening to see that we managed to build a community during COVID times, which was extremely challenging, of course, because the first edition should have been held 2 years ago, in October 2020. So we had to turn this launch into virtual events, and in the end, we managed to create and generate a series of different virtual events. But I should say that the feedback and the engagement has been really tremendous, and it really encouraged us to hold this first in-person meeting last year, in spite of the fact it was, let's say, not really favorable times, but in spite of being, let's say, in between lockdowns, restrictions with international travel, we still managed to attract more than 200 persons in Brussels for 2 days. And we are really looking forward to inviting this community back again in October.
And briefly, the theme I understand is connecting brains. Why have you chosen that? What's that? What sort of why does that resonate so importantly?
Well, actually, we selected that topic because we really consider our community as at a crossroads, intrinsically, with the, I mean, many around us are saying we are entering the decade of the brain, if not the century of the brain, saying that a lot of the challenges that we kept insisting on about the complexity of research, the lack of cure, or no cure at all, or no disease modifying treatment at all for most of brain conditions, it probably starts to flip. Situation is definitely changing. We see the emergence of new therapies or even preventative treatments for some of the most prevalent brain disorders that can be. And I should say we should really be encouraged by those developments and continue to, on the basis of those learnings, really push it much further, because we are talking about more than 600 conditions, and clearly, I mean, we cannot rest on our laurels in that respect.
And just finally, on a practical level, if people who are listening want to find out more, they want to register, what can they do? How do they find out more?
Well, we've got the website that was launched, the braininnovationdays.eu, which is up and running with the draft program, everything for in relation to the registration process, the matchmaking platform that we will be putting in place. If anyone is interested to engage further in becoming even a sponsor to the event, they can also access all the contact details out there. And yeah, I mean, we look forward to having anyone interested joining us on that occasion.
Well, Fred, thank you so much for joining us, for telling us more, and we wish you every success with the event.
Thank you, Sam.